Hi, my name is Zoe, and this is my dog Miso. A year ago, I decided to move to the countryside of Japan to pursue my dream of becoming a full-time artist. Here are snippets of my day-to-day life. I hope you enjoy. So I managed to set up my shadow with the spool, and I am going so fast now, so let's just get to it. I'm just going to put this in the video. Whoops, forgot to press off that way. So it might take me a minute to warm up again because I've just had a little break. But here we go. Now you can see what happens, the difference when the break isn't stuffing up compared to how slow I was weaving before. Now, I have the tension like really tight on this. They probably wouldn't recommend this at the place that I learnt, but hey, I like it tight as a tiger. But you can see now that I'm able to pick up quite a bit of speed now that I've got the shuttle, and it does become quite rhythmic. It's quite relaxing to do this. So this is my last spool that I have wound as well. I do have a little bit left in the toilet roll that I did, but I just want to see how much. Ooh, then you start moving too fast and you catch the shuttle when you change foot on the pedal. Alright, I need to come forward a bit more too. My posture is a bit crazy. But yeah, this is it. This is what I love. It's such a fast. It's only because I have a really narrow warp thread though. But if I had like a wider one, I wouldn't be able to go this fast. But I love jobs that are fast. Just love it, love it, love it. But you gotta watch out you're not too fast. I might actually undo that one. We're weird angle. It's just pulling on it a little bit too much for my liking, the corner. So I redo that one. Alright. And then we go. And we go. Alright, back into it. It's almost gonna be time to wind this down again. But look how fast this is compared to like when I was doing it the other way. It's going to take me years. I've almost finished using all the thread that I made today. 2 hours for like 2 minutes of weaving. Maybe not 2 minutes, but it is a lot faster than expected. Anyway, this is my lovely wobbly, broken. Alright, it's time to adjust again, so we'll be back shortly. This bit is actually quite satisfying, so you guys can watch this too. When I reckon about there. So my spool has just run out from the shuttle here, so I'm just going to reload it up using this little winder. So it's pretty easy. You just hold that, wrap it around a few times before you put it on the winder, and then I'm just going to gently do it a bit slow to begin with, and then slowly start to build up speed. Alright, there's the end of my toilet paper roll. So I'm going to pull it out of that, reuse that later. And that is all I have left of that one. So I'm going to unwind this later and just check how many meters of fabric I got out of this little recycle exercise, because yeah, I'm quite intrigued to see how much I got. Okay, so this is all the fabric that I managed to get. So let's measure it up, what my recycling scraps did for me. So we've got I reckon I'm gonna get just a meter. Yep, 1 meter, 3 centimeters. Not bad at all. And the width is about 14 centimeters. So that's pretty good. Not bad at all for recycling. And yeah, I reckon it probably took me like an hour to weave and 2 hours to prepare for that, so not bad at all. I have run out of fabric scraps now, so I need to duplicate a similar scenario. So I've just got this piece of cardboard that is, I had like about 3 to 5 different lengths of thread scraps, and then here is the thread that's on the roll, and I'm just going to wrap it around this cardboard thing, kind of like making a pom-pom, if you've ever made a pom-pom, and then just kind of cut them and tie them together. Now I don't actually need that much more thread, because I figured out that I think I only need about 10 centimeters more to get all of the crown pieces, and then I just need the pieces for the brim and then the hood cape element. And I probably need to make a wider warp thread to do the cape. So I think if I make just 10 centimeters more for the crown pieces, and then just whatever the length is for the 2 pieces of the brim, and then I think my whole warp thread will be used up. So it worked out pretty well, because I've been using this warp thread for a while for various things. So if I can use up the whole warp thread and it work out perfectly, it's just something beautiful, isn't it? So this is length 1. You can see I've just woven, and I'm just going to cut it at the bottom and at the top, and I'm going to do the same thing on this shorter side too before I tie them all together again. And here's my short side done, so time to start cutting these and then knotting them together again. Okay, so I think I figured out I'm going to have just enough warp thread left to weave the fabric for this hat. This is all I have left, so I'm praying. Alright, I've just found 2 more rolls. I don't know why I packed them in a different box, but we're definitely gonna make it now. I was really worried there for a minute, because I might have had enough to do the warp thread, but potentially not the weft. So we're gonna make it now, yay! So I'm just starting to make the new warp thread. I need a 54 centimeter wide one, so it's gonna be quite big. So fingers crossed I have enough stuff and that it works out pretty smoothly. And here we have 27 bundles of 10. So 270 strings by 3 meters. I decided to prepare so that hopefully I can get another hat out of it in my soury weave, which I'll show you guys. So this is it, woven with these recycled soury threads. So I'd like to get another hat the same with this, but with a more loopy texture like I did on my actual pocket. This was the one I decided not to use because I mixed some colors with it, but I just didn't really like the result. I think it looks just better and nice enough by itself. But yeah, next is finishing up. I gotta make some more thread to finish weaving about another 10 centimeters on the narrow one, and then I will take that off the loom and I will use the waste from that to make some more thread, because I'm gonna need quite a lot of thread. I've got about another 45 centimeters I need to do on the wide one, as well as my 10 centimeters here. So I might just be tying thread together for the rest of today, but you know what? It's just part of the job, isn't it? So here is the final pieces of this fabric. It ended up being about 1.63 meters. So hopefully I'll be able to get the brim and the crown pieces out of here. And I'm about to start threading up the wider portion of fabric on the loom now. It's a bit tricky to get a nice shot of this, but this is kind of the fabric and all the broken weave that I have meticulously knotted together here. And of course our fresh batch of waste from the loom. So I'm just going to pull these through from the heddles. So this is all the waste from this batch. It's actually not too bad. Some other ones I've had like a meter or so left, but anyway, materials are expensive, so reuse them as much as possible. This is going to go towards my next collection for the wider warp. So I'm just going to separate them in half, like so. I do have a few that are knotted like that, but there you have it. That is all my waste from this, and that is going to be used for the next section. Now I have the arduous task left, that is putting the new warp thread into the loom. So it could take me a few hours. I will tune back in once that is complete. We are halfway through the very slow and meditative process of pulling the threads through the bead. Here's my little hooky tool thing. And off we go. I'm kind of doing this a little bit different today. This is the first time I've ever done this while just on the loom. I do also have another attachment where I can do this entire process sitting at a table, but the table height is kind of annoying because I get quite a sore shoulder doing it, so I decided to see if it would be any better doing it this way, and it seems to be slightly less painful in some ways, but yeah, I think just doing this is quite slow and kind of your body just gets a bit turnt. Body just gets a bit of a beating when threading this loom. Well, my left shoulder anyway, from holding the threads and such, but this is it. It is like gone back to being very cold weather this week too. So yeah, back in my winter gear. Hopefully next week it will start to go back to spring, because yeah, it has been quite freezing this week. And yeah, I also thought I might give you guys an update while I do this. So today marks 4 weeks of my glucose goddess blood sugar experiment. The entire 4 weeks I've only had one day where I had a blood sugar headache. There were a few days where I was having brain fog, but that just seemed to be a lack of protein situation, and once I sorted that out, I've been feeling pretty good. It's day 2 of my cycle today, and again I had a really easy and nice flow, and for the first time in probably 4 years or so, I actually don't even remember how long I've had the lightheadedness symptom, but this time before my period I did not have that, and that was kind of like the last symptom that I wanted to improve for my period. So your girl has finally crossed over to having a really lovely period and no yucky symptoms. This time around I did notice that after about week 3 of the glucose goddess thing, my sugar tooth came back with a vengeance, like a real vengeance. And I was probably having like ice cream or some kind of sweets almost every day, but generally I would just have them after lunch or after dinner, so it didn't fuck up my glucose too much. But the initiative or the goal for the glucose goddess was never to give up sugar, because I love sweets so much. If I had to choose between eating dessert or drinking alcohol, dessert would win 500%. So yeah, that was never the goal anyway, so don't really care about that. But yeah, I think it just had to do with my period timing, and I just think that I wasn't eating enough. So once I've kind of like upped my meat shop and stuff in the last week, and I've just been eating a bit more carbs as well, I noticed that my sugar cravings went away. It was just when I was feeling a bit hungry that obviously I was just using the dessert to fill up, but then I would still be full. So that was another thing. But yeah, I have definitely like fully relaxed on the thing. Like I was doing the fully anal version where I was following it to the T, and then after about week 3, yeah, that just kind of dropped off, and some days now I don't have the apple cider vinegar. Like if I'm just too hungry by dinner, I just eat my food. And sometimes if I'm just like eating a curry or something for dinner and it's got veggies in it, I just don't worry about eating like a salad first, because especially now that the weather went back to being cold, like I have just not been a fan of the like raw cold thing I have to eat before I can have my meal. So yeah, I'm not being overly strict with it, but I think the key to success with anything is to be a bit more lenient like that anyway, because yeah, otherwise you just take all the fun and joy out of it, and into the long term that causes you more stress and kind of hinders any of the benefits that can happen. That's what's happened to me in the past when I've done things to the naturopath and stuff, and I just went too like gung-ho on it. So yeah, I just think that, you know, being lenient and allowing for life to happen sometimes is quite important. So that is pretty much my monthly update, and yeah, I am going to keep going. I do enjoy that the glucose goddess protocol has kind of increased my fiber, because I was getting to this point living in Japan where I was just having really bad brain fog and those headaches that I would just be eating heaps and heaps of protein thinking that would balance me out, but it kind of stopped working as well as it did in the past. So I knew that something kind of had to give, and that, yeah, there would have to be like a different way. So yeah, I definitely feel at peace. I definitely carry a small bottle of white balsamic vinegar to work with me so that I can put it on my veggies, because what is like a really surprising thing for me about Japanese people is that they eat a lot of green vegetables, but they dip them in mayonnaise, which I just think like kind of, what's the word? Gets rid of the purpose of like eating a vegetable if you're just going to slather it in mayonnaise. So it's kind of weird for me. I've always just been a bit of a salt and olive oil, or yeah, just salt and some vinegar, and I find that they are much more delicious that way. You actually get to taste the vegetable taste and the bitterness of the greens. So yeah, that's one kind of surprising thing for me about Japanese people. If they eat broccoli florets, they literally will just dip their heads in mayonnaise, and I thought this was just like a my husband's family kind of thing, but then I've been to a few other people's houses and places, and even in restaurants I think I've had it served like that. So it must just be like a Japanese thing, but honestly I'm not sure. What's going on here? You can see that this can get quite fiddly, but almost there. So close. Life is good. Just meditate and thread. Weaving is such a meditative process. So even when I was doing those meter of fabric on the weekend, I was like right before my cycle, so I was feeling quite tired, and I just noticed that I was doing the weaving without any music or anything because I was filming. So usually if I'm filming I don't play my music in case I want to say something like now. But yeah, I just noticed how I felt really like energetic and really rested after, because yeah, it just was such a meditative process. So I mean, as long as my shoulder isn't screaming at me like, what are you doing, take a break, it's actually quite nice and meditative. But yeah, my husband came in and watched what I was doing, and he was like, wow, that hurt me just watching you do this. So it's definitely like a personality thing. Some people are in it, but I do the same thing when I watch him make ceramics. I just go, wow, that's lovely, but it just doesn't appeal to me with the messiness of it. But also another very meditative thing. Alright, we're getting close. I actually made a mistake because I decided to thread this loom just like my own original way because why not? I wanted to see if I could figure out a better way, or a way that suits me better. And I think I did pretty well, but I accidentally, there's like this stick that I need to put across here and put all these in, and I put them in there, and then once you do that you trim them. And I did that, but I hadn't threaded them through the reed yet, so it was kind of like pointless, but it will. It's all good. I might just attach these bundles together. Getting so close. Can't believe how fast it was once I started recording. Finally, with what felt like a lifetime later, the loom is finally ready for weaving, but I need to make more thread, so not just yet. Hey Miso! Hey! Got a visitor!